I want to tell you about a single fruit, one fruit, that when you understand what it does inside your eye, not in your gut, not in your joints, but specifically inside your eye, you will never look at the produce aisle the same way again. Here is what surprises most people. It is not the most expensive fruit. It is not the hardest to find. In fact, I would be willing to bet that some of you walk past it every single week at the grocery store without giving it a second thought. And yet the research on what this fruit does to protect your vision as you age the specific mechanism, the way it targets the exact part of the eye most vulnerable to damage, is some of the most compelling nutritional science I have come across in years of studying preventive medicine. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which fruit it is. More importantly, you will know why, and you will have a simple, honest, practical way to make it part of your daily life starting tomorrow. My name is Dr. Elias. I work in preventive health, and today we are talking about your eyes. Stay with me. But before we get into it, I want to hear from you. Drop your name and your age in the comments right now. Tell me where you are watching from. Are you in Florida, Ohio, the UK? And tell me this, when was the last time you genuinely worried about your eyesight? Because I think more of you are thinking about this than you let on. I read every comment. Let me know you are here. And if this is your first time on this channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because what we talk about here is the kind of information that genuinely changes how you live. Every single week. All right, let us get into it. What is actually happening inside your aging eye? Let me start with something that nobody explains clearly enough. Your eye is not just an organ that processes light. It is one of the most metabolically demanding tissues in your entire body. The cells in your retina, that paper-thin layer at the back of your eye that converts light into the signals your brain reads as vision, those cells burn energy at an extraordinary rate. They work around the clock. They never stop. And here is what that means for you. All that metabolic activity generates something called oxidative stress. Think of it like exhaust from a running engine. The harder the engine works, the more exhaust it produces. Your retinal cells are working constantly, so they produce a constant stream of free radicals, unstable molecules that, if not neutralized, begin to damage the very structures they come from. Now here is where it gets specifically important for anyone over 60. Your body's internal antioxidant defenses, the systems you were born with, that neutralize those free radicals, weaken with age. They simply do not work as efficiently at 65 as they did at 35. This is not a failure, it is biology. But what it means practically is that the gap between the oxidative stress your eyes generate and your body's ability to manage it gets wider every decade. And into that gap, that is where the damage comes from. Cataracts, macular degeneration, declining night vision, increasing sensitivity to glare, these are not random events. They are the long, slow result of oxidative stress accumulating in eye tissue that no longer has the defenses it once did. So what do most people do about this? Most people do nothing. Not because they do not care about their vision, but because nobody has ever explained the mechanism to them clearly enough to make it feel urgent. It feels abstract. It feels like something that happens to other people. Until the day your ophthalmologist tells you that your lenses are starting to cloud. Until the day you reach for a book and realize the words are blurry in a way they were not 6 months ago. Until the day your grandchild asks why you are not driving at night anymore and you do not have a good answer. The point is this. The eyes you have right now are the eyes you will have for the rest of your life. There is no replacement for them. And the decisions you make about what you eat, not dramatically, not with a complicated regimen, but quietly, consistently, over the years, those decisions shape the outcome. That is the foundation. That is why what I am about to tell you matters. Now, most nutrition conversations about eye health give you a list. 5 fruits, 7 vegetables, 12 supplements. I am not going to do that today, because I think lists without understanding are forgettable. Instead, I want to tell you about the one fruit that researchers keep coming back to, the one that lines up most precisely with what your aging eye actually needs. And the reason it works has everything to do with where it works. Not in your bloodstream, not in your stomach, directly in the macula. If you do not know what the macula is, stay with me, because this is the whole story. The macula is a tiny, specialized region at the center of your retina. It is about the size of a pencil eraser, and it is responsible for virtually everything you think of as sharp vision. Reading, recognizing faces, threading a needle, seeing the numbers on a phone screen, all of it, that razor-sharp central vision comes from the macula. Here is what makes the macula extraordinary and also extraordinarily vulnerable. The macula contains a unique set of pigments called macular pigment. These pigments, composed primarily of two compounds called lutein and zeaxanthin, function like a pair of internal sunglasses. They absorb high-energy blue light before it reaches the most sensitive photoreceptor cells in your eye. They act as a chemical shield. And here is the number that should stop you cold. Studies published in the journal Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science have shown that people with higher macular pigment density have significantly lower risk of developing age-related macular degeneration, AMD, which is the leading cause of irreversible vision loss in adults over 50 inches, the developed world. Not a modest reduction in risk, a significant one. Now here is the critical piece. Your body cannot manufacture lutein or zeaxanthin on its own. Not a single molecule. Every bit of macular pigment you have came from the food you have eaten across your lifetime. And as the years go on, if you are not replenishing it, it thins. Most Americans are not getting enough. A 2013 National Health and Nutrition Examination survey found that the average American intake of lutein and zeaxanthin is somewhere around 1 to 2 milligrams per day. Eye health researchers generally consider 6 milligrams per day of lutein and 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin to be a meaningful protective target. That is a gap. A quiet, invisible gap that most people do not know exists until something goes wrong. So the question becomes, what fills that gap most efficiently? What food delivers the combination of lutein, zeaxanthin, and the supporting nutrients the macula needs in a form the body can actually absorb that is also realistic for a regular person to eat regularly? That is the question the research answers. And the answer is not what most people expect. Before I tell you the number one fruit, and I am about to, I need to tell you something that most nutrition advice gets wrong. It is not just about which nutrients are in a food. It is about which nutrients your body can actually get out of it. And this changes everything about how you evaluate what you eat for your eyes. The has-shown fruit and the science behind why. Most people guess berries, and berries are excellent. I will come back to that. Some people guess citrus, also good. Some people guess papaya or mango because they have seen articles about beta-carotene. But the research literature, when you look at the studies that specifically measure macular pigment optical density as an outcome, and the foods that most reliably increase it, one fruit comes up consistently: kiwi fruit. Here is why kiwi earns its place at the top of this list. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, a landmark paper often cited in this field, followed a group of adults over a 12-week period. Participants who consumed 3 kiwi fruits per day showed a meaningful and measurable increase in macular pigment optical density. This is not a theoretical benefit. This is a measured change in the actual pigment protecting the center of their retina. Why does kiwi perform so well? 3 reasons. First, lutein content. Kiwi contains meaningful amounts of lutein, approximately 0.1 milligrams per 100 grams. More relevantly, the lutein in kiwi appears to be bioavailable, meaning your body actually absorbs and utilizes it efficiently. This matters enormously because lutein from some sources passes through the body largely unabsorbed. Second, vitamin C. Ounce for ounce, kiwi is one of the most vitamin C dense fruits available. A single kiwi delivers more vitamin C than an orange of similar size. And vitamin C is specifically critical for the lens of your eye. The lens contains one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C of any tissue in the human body, and it uses that vitamin C to defend its proteins against the oxidative damage that over decades contributes to cataract formation. The age-related eye disease study, known as AREDS, identified vitamin C as one of the key nutrients associated with reduced risk of cataract progression. Third, vitamin E. Kiwi contains vitamin E, which protects the membranes of your photoreceptor cells, the rods and cones that actually convert light into signals. Vitamin E is fat-soluble, which means it works within the fatty membranes of these cells in a way water-soluble vitamins cannot. So, In one small fruit than your fist, you have lutein for the macula, vitamin C for the lens, and vitamin E for the photoreceptors. 3 layers of protection, 3 different parts of the eye addressed simultaneously. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Arthur. He was 68 years old. He came to see me not because of a vision crisis, but because his wife had noticed he was squinting more at the dinner table, and she was worried. His ophthalmologist had told him at his last exam that his macular pigment was on the low side, not dangerously so, but enough to be worth paying attention to. Arthur had been eating fairly well, or so he thought. Lots of cooked vegetables, some salad, the occasional piece of fruit. The problem was the bioavailability gap I mentioned earlier. He was eating lutein-containing foods, but mostly in ways that limited absorption. Cooked vegetables without fat, low-fat dressings, very little of the high absorption pairings that actually get the nutrients where they need to go. We made one change first. One. He started eating 2 kiwis a day, 1 with breakfast, 1 as an afternoon snack. He also started adding half an avocado to his lunch salad 3 or 4 times a week, specifically to improve the absorption of everything else he was eating. 8 months later, at his follow-up appointment, his ophthalmologist commented that his retinal measurements were holding stable and looked better than expected given his age and history. Arthur called me from the parking lot of the clinic. He was not dramatic about it. He just said, "I think the kiwis are working. I cannot prove causality from one patient's story, but the mechanism is sound, the research is consistent, and Arthur still eats his kiwis." If you are still watching and this is helping you understand something you did not know before, type the number 2 in the comments right now. Just the number 2. It tells me you are here. It tells me this is valuable to you. And honestly, it helps other people find this video when the algorithm sees that engagement. So do it now. Type 2. What makes kiwi work even better? The absorption secret here is the piece that almost no nutrition video for eye health ever talks about. Eating the right nutrients is only half the equation. The other half is whether your body can absorb them at all. And this is where kiwi has a hidden advantage that surprises people when I explain it. Kiwi contains an enzyme called actinidin. This enzyme is specific to kiwi fruit. And research, including a study from the Plant and Food Research Institute, has shown that actinidin significantly enhances the digestion and absorption of proteins from meals eaten alongside kiwi. Why does this matter for your eyes? Because the proteins in your retina, the structural proteins that hold the architecture of your photoreceptor cells together, require precise nutritional building blocks to be maintained and repaired. As we age, protein digestion becomes less efficient. The stomach produces less acid. Digestive enzyme production declines. And the nutrients that should be feeding your retinal cells begin arriving in smaller quantities. Kiwi, specifically through actinidin, helps bridge that gap. It improves the overall digestive efficiency of a meal, which means more of everything you eat makes it through to be absorbed. There is also a practical implication here for people who eat a lot of leafy greens. The lutein in spinach, kale, and other dark greens is fat-soluble. Eating it with fat increases absorption dramatically, up to 4 or 5 times more lutein absorbed compared to eating the same greens with no fat. But kiwi, eaten alongside those greens, also supports the digestive efficiency of the overall meal. It is not just a nutrient source. It is a nutrient enhancer. Now, I want to be honest with you about one thing, because I think honesty is more respectful than hype. 2 kiwis a day will not restore vision that has already been significantly lost. If you have advanced macular degeneration, kiwi is not going to reverse it. If your cataracts have progressed to the point where surgery is being discussed, kiwi is not the answer to that conversation. What the research supports is prevention and slowing, protecting macular pigment in eyes that still have it, supporting lens clarity in eyes that have not yet crossed into significant cataract development, reducing the rate at which these processes progress. These are exactly the outcomes that matter most to people who are 60, 65, 70, who still have good vision and want to keep it. The window for food to make a difference in your eyes is not after damage has been done. The window is now. While the machinery is still working, while the pigment is still there to protect, while the lens proteins are still clear enough to be defended, that is when what you eat changes what happens next. If you are still with me and you are genuinely thinking about making some changes after watching this, type the number 4 in the comments. Just the number 4. I love seeing those come in. It tells me these conversations are reaching the people who need them. The supporting cast making Kiwi work as part of a larger strategy. Actually pause for just a second. If this video has given you something valuable so far, I want to ask you a favor. Hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second. And if you have a friend or a family member, a spouse, a sibling, someone you care about whose vision you think about, share this video with them today. Not tomorrow, today. Because the information we are talking about is the kind that genuinely changes what people do. And sharing it is one of the kindest things you can do for someone you love. All right, back to the science. Kiwi is the #1 fruit on this list, but I would be doing you a disservice if I did not give you the supporting cast. Because the eye is a complex system, and no single food addresses all of it. Think of kiwi as your anchor, and then think of these others as the team around it. Blueberries and the blood vessel connection. The deep color of blueberries comes from anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that have a specific affinity for the small blood vessels of the body. The retina is fed by some of the most delicate blood vessels in your circulation. Anthocyanins support the integrity of those vessel walls, reduce inflammatory damage, and support the microvascular circulation on which your retina depends. A 2012 study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that bilberry anthocyanins, closely related to those in blueberries, were associated with improvements in retinal microcirculation. A handful of blueberries several mornings a week. Frozen is just as effective as fresh and considerably more affordable. Avocado and the absorption multiplier. Avocado is the only fruit that delivers meaningful lutein and the fat needed to absorb it in one package. Half an avocado on your salad increases the lutein absorption from every other vegetable in that salad by a factor that researchers at Ohio State University measured at between 4 and 5 times compared to a fat-free dressing. This is not a trivial difference. This is the difference between getting meaningful eye protective nutrients from your meal and getting almost none. Oranges and the lens connection. Whole oranges, not juice. Whole oranges deliver vitamin C alongside bioflavonoids in the white pith beneath the peel. These bioflavonoids work in partnership with vitamin C to support the small blood vessels of the eye and enhance vitamin C's protective effect on the lens. The Blue Mountains Eye Study, one of the largest population studies of diet and eye disease, found that participants with the highest vitamin C intake had significantly lower rates of nuclear cataract over a 10-year period. Here is what a simple weekly rhythm looks like. No complicated schedule, no measuring, just a quiet pattern. Mornings, 2 kiwis with breakfast or as a mid-morning snack. This is your anchor. This is non-negotiable. 3 or 4 mornings a week, a small bowl of blueberries alongside breakfast. 3 or 4 times a week, half an avocado on your lunch salad or sliced onto your toast. This amplifies everything else in the meal. Most days, a whole orange as an afternoon snack. Not juice, the whole fruit. When it is available, a few slices of papaya or mango as your occasional addition for beta-carotene. That is the entire program. No supplements required. No exotic ingredients. No complicated timing. Just a quiet weekly rhythm that your body, specifically your eyes, will benefit from across the years. Now, I want to talk about one more thing, because I have watched patients make all the right dietary choices and still lose ground on their vision. And when I looked at why, the answer was not the fruit they were eating or the greens they were not eating. It was something that was quietly undermining everything. The silent saboteur, most people miss everything I have described, works. The research is consistent, the mechanisms are sound, but there is a condition that can neutralize almost all of it. A condition that an estimated 34 million Americans have, and that many of them do not manage as carefully as they should. Uncontrolled blood sugar. Diabetic retinopathy, the eye damage caused by chronically elevated blood sugar, is now the leading cause of new blindness in working-age adults in the United States. But here is what many people do not realize. You do not have to have diabetes for elevated blood sugar to damage your eyes. Pre-diabetes blood sugar that is elevated but not yet in the diabetic range is associated with early microvascular changes in the retina that can be detected by careful imaging before any symptoms develop. A 2018 study in diabetes care found retinal changes in pre-diabetic individuals that mirrored early stages of diabetic retinopathy. The small blood vessels of the retina are among the first casualties of glucose toxicity, and the damage is cumulative. Every spike, every extended period of elevated sugar deposits damage that adds up over years. The fruits I have recommended today are generally low to moderate on the glycemic scale, kiwi, blueberries, avocado in particular. But I want to flag this honestly. If you have diabetes or prediabetes, the quantity and timing of even healthy fruit matters. A conversation with your physician about how to incorporate fruit into your specific dietary pattern is worth having. Blood sugar management is not separate from eye health. It is central to it. And the daily choices you make about what you eat, how much you move, and whether you monitor your blood sugar are among the most powerful things you can do for your vision, full stop. This is why I always tell patients, take care of the whole system. The eye is downstream of everything else in your body. When the rest is inflamed, when blood sugar is swinging, when blood pressure is poorly controlled, the eye pays the price first. So let me leave you with this. Your vision is not an accident of luck. It is the long result of the choices you make about how you feed and care for your body. Today you learned why the macula is the target that matters most. You learned that kiwi specifically has the most complete nutritional profile for protecting it, supported by real evidence and a clear biological mechanism. You learned the supporting cast that amplifies everything kiwi does. And you learned that blood sugar control is not optional if you want your eyes to last. But here is what this video did not cover, and it is arguably more important than anything I have talked about today. There is a specific combination of nutrients that research suggests can actively slow the progression of early macular degeneration once it has already started. Not prevent it, slow it. It is not a fruit. It is not a supplement most people have heard of. And the dosing, which matters enormously, is something almost nobody explains correctly. I am going to cover that in the next video. If you want to be the first to see it the moment it goes live, subscribe right now and hit the notification bell. Your eyes have been showing you the world your entire life. Give them the same faithfulness in return. If this video helped you today, like it, share it with someone whose vision matters to you, and subscribe to this channel so you never miss what we cover next. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Take care of your vision.